Perfect. Good evening, everybody. It's 6 p.m. Tuesday, March 24th, 2026, and we'll call the session of West Hants Regional Municipality to order. Clerk Snare, I do note we have quorum. Councillor Leary Pinch is running about 10 minutes late, but everybody else is here and accounted for. West Hants Regional Municipality is in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people, and these lands are governed by the treaties of peace and friendship signed in 1726. We recognize that African Nova Scotians are that part of Mi'kmaq. Geez, no, sorry, I'm all mixed up here, guys. West Hants Regional also recognize African Nova Scotians are distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kmaq known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. It's a beautiful day outside. It's been a busy day. I got a little bit of a headache, so let's keep it on track today, Council. Any other announcements? I have a couple for some big events happening this weekend, actually. So tomorrow evening, the Windsor Curling Club, in partnership with the Woelfel Curling Club, are hosting the National Stick Curling Championships. So it's quite an event. There's going to be a lot of participants, and they're really proud to be co-hosting this. So if anybody's a curler or watching online that likes this sport, it's pretty fun. Stop by Windsor and Woelfel Curling Clubs tomorrow up till Saturday, I believe. So let's go to see that. And again, I'm a big hockey fan. I want to just to highlight that the boys and girls AV hockey team are both in provincials. Our boys are hosting here in the West Hants Sports Complex this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and the girls are down in Sackville competing. So I think we have a really good shot at bringing two banners home, one for each, and keep our fingers crossed if you can get to Sackville or here in Windsor to watch a game. They're pretty fun teams to watch, especially the girls. They have quite a lot of talent on that team, and it's pretty fun to watch. Councillor Remy.
Through you, Mayor, I just have a couple. So I think I had mentioned this before, but the Brooklyn Fire Department's auxiliary has their online auction taking place right now. So I think there's 2 lots of stuff left for that. And I believe it's this weekend is the Easter egg hunt at Irishman's.
Absolutely. That's on Saturday, 11 to 12. Just stop by. There's no set times. Come by, find your 5 eggs, and your little ones are going to get a nice little prize. But I also think they have some stuff going on inside the school. No, it's at the Brooklyn Elementary School, not at Irishman's, at Brooklyn Elementary School. But there's also some events inside the school as well. I forget who's putting that on, but it's a nice little addition this year to the whole event. So absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. Councillor Paul Whedon.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just want to let everybody know it's Eller's House Breakfast this Saturday. Hard to believe that it's the end of the month yet again. But the last Saturday of every month in Eller's House, we have a great breakfast from 8 to 10:30. It's a free will offering. So we hope to see you there this weekend.
Always having a breakfast. It's good. Any other announcements, Council? All right, lots going on. Thank you for that. We do have our agenda. It was circulated. Everything's in your packages. If there's nothing to add or subtract from that, Council, we will approve it as noted in the package here. Any declarations of conflict of interest? All right, thank you very much, everybody. Previous meeting minutes is next on the agenda. We have the set from February 24th, 2026, council minutes, February 24th, 2026, public hearing minutes, LUB amendments, 2037 Highway 1 Falmouth, PID 45242112, February 24th, public minutes, Peace Good Order Bylaw, RCOPG 001.00. They were circulated in the package. If there was anything in that set of minutes, we can take those now and correct, but if not, we'll approve as noted in the package. All right, thank you very much, everybody. We do have one public hearing tonight, rezoning Clifton Avenue, Windsor, PID 45049921. Would council please give a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Paul Morton, seconded by Councillor John Smith. We'll do a show of hands for all those in favor, signify hands up. Opposed? Motion passed unanimous. Thank you very much, everybody. So public hearings are required by the Municipal Government Act, Part 8 in particular. Public hearings hosted by council provides member of the public and to bring up any concerns or ask planning staff or an applicant questions regarding the proposal. When public hearing is complete, council meeting will resume and council will then make questions and comments and decide on the topic at hand. Planner Dunphy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I will get this set up. There we go. Okay. So jumping right into it, tonight's presentation for public hearing is on a rezoning on Clifton Avenue. Apologies, having some technical difficulties here.
We'll just take it from your vacation time.
Appear to be frozen here.
The pressure's on, Alex. Can you control it from your end, Deanna, or no? No? Okay.
Okay. Oh,
No, there we go.
thank you, Mark. Okay. Well, I apologize about that.
That's okay.
There we go. We have control. Okay. Sorry about that, council. Let's look at the application. So we had received a completed application from Dave Larish on November 28th, 2025. And the application was to rezone a portion of the subject lot from low density residential to medium density residential to allow for subdivision and a 6-unit residential development on the subject lot. So now looking at the ortho photo, there is an existing converted 8-unit dwelling, which is part of a previous development agreement that we have already spoken about here. The subject property itself abuts a variety of residential uses, including high density units to the north, and the property is also located across Clifton Avenue from the Clifton Museum Park. Next, let's look at the generalized future land use map. So this property, as well as much of the surrounding properties, are all within the residential designation. The only thing separated from that is the Clifton Park across the street, which is within the community use designation. Next, on to the zoning. The current zoning of this property is low density residential. And permitted uses within this zone include dwellings containing up to 4 units and converted dwellings containing up to 4 units. For surrounding zonings of this property, as I had indicated previously, there are some higher density residential dwellings to the north. So those being the medium and high density residential zones, R2 and R3 indicated there on the map. And to the west, again, we have the park, which is zoned open space. So for this application in particular, the rezoning is only for a portion of the lot. As indicated, I've put an example of what it would look like. Those aren't the exact lines that this will be, but it's to rezone to the medium density residential zone, which allows dwellings containing 5 or 6 units and uses permitted in the R1 zone subject to R1 requirements. So here we can see a view of the subject lot from Alexander Street. And again, this is the portion of the subject lot that they are looking to subdivide and rezone. So it's the portion to the right on Alexander Street from the existing development agreement building. Next, looking at the surrounding area on Alexander Street. So on that top image, you're looking down towards Clifton Avenue, and on the bottom image, you're looking the opposite direction up Alexander Street. Looking at the policies here, our first one is policy 5.1.3. This enables council to consider rezoning a low density residential lot to medium density residential within the residential designation. In summary, the proposal meets the criteria as the proposal is considered compatible with the residential character of the area. Adequate on-site parking can be provided. The proposal provides safe access to the site, and adequate landscaping and recreational or open space can be provided. Next is our general policy 16.3.1. This states the general criteria for amendments to the land use bylaw. And in summary, the proposal here meets the criteria as well. The proposal is not considered premature or inappropriate for the area. No municipal costs related to the proposal are anticipated, and the development officer, manager of building and fire inspection services, public works engineering division, and municipal traffic authority have no concerns which have not otherwise been addressed in the report. For our public information meeting that was held on January 8th, and it was broadcast live on the municipal YouTube account. We had 8 members of the public in attendance for that meeting, and the deadline for comments was January 22nd. There was no correspondence received during that comment period. However, during the public information meeting itself, we did have one individual speak, and they had some questions around on-site parking requirements and affordable housing. For our process, tonight we are at public hearing and second reading. If approved at this meeting tonight, it would notice of approval would be placed in the paper with a 14-day appeal period to follow. And just a note on the process that at this point, all statutory requirements have now been met. So that's the end of my presentation here, Chair. I'll give it back to you.
Thank you so much, Claire Dunphy. Anybody in the public today, in our audience, wishing to speak on this matter? We can take those comments now. Was there anybody at home zooming in, clerks there? Nobody at home either. Council, are there any questions to Planner Dunphy in regards to this application before we conclude public hearing? All right. Anything to finalize on your end or finish up?
No, Mayor.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. With that, Council, we'll conclude the public hearing. The council meeting has resumed at this point, and we do have a recommendation that Planner Dunphy will pop up on the screen there. And that is it. If somebody wishes to make that, we can have debate and discussion. Councillor Bonnie Smith.
The council gives second reading and approves amending Schedule A of the Windsor Land Use Bylaw to rezone a portion of PID 45049921 on Clifton Avenue in Windsor from the low-density residential R1 zone to the medium-density residential R2 zone, as shown in the report number 25-26 to the Planning and Heritage Advisory Committee dated February 12th, 2026.
Moved by Councillor Bonnie Smith. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Jim Ivey. Further discussion on the motion, Council? All right, nothing. We will put it to a vote, Clerk Snare. Motion is passed. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, unfinished motions, postponed motions. We have reconsideration, defeated the audit consolidated financial statements of West End Regional Municipality ending March 31st, 2025. That was presented at our last meeting on the 24th of February, and that notice was made by Councillor Pinch, who met all requirements for the notice given, and we're here tonight. So the process, Council, on a notice of reconsideration, the first part was Councillor Larry Pinch will put a motion on to reconsider. That's not debatable. That's a yes or a no from council. And if council votes in the affirmative, then we will open the debate back up onto the actual motion to approve those consolidated financial statements. So everybody's clear on the process? Okay, I'll give you the floor, Councilor Larry Pinch.
So recommended that council reconsider the defeated motion made at the February 24th, 2026 council meeting to approve the audited consolidated financial statement ending March 31st, 2025 for West Hants Regional Municipality as presented to the audit committee.
Moved by Councillor Larry Pinch. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Paul Morin. All right, we'll put that vote up on the screen. It was just hiding. The motion to reconsider was approved, so now we can reopen debate on that. Councillor Louis Pinch, if you want to put the motion back on the floor.
That council approves the audited consolidated financial statement ending March 31st, 2025 for West Hants Regional Municipality as presented to the Audit Committee.
Moved by Councillor Louis Pinch. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Paul Moran. Discussion debate, council. Councillor Ivey.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. I did have one question for the director, which related to a question previously asked, and I realize that we've got a motion on the floor, but I think it's valuable to try and clear
Yeah,
that.
no, we can bring it. We'll get if you can pop up to the mic there, Director Rochon.
Thank you. So through you, Mayor, through the director. So the question that I had related to a question that came up, and I'd asked it at the audit committee, but perhaps hadn't been too clear on it because it's relating to a matter that spans a couple of years in our financials. And the end of last year's budget, it was identified that there was an unallocated or an underbilled portion of RCMP costing related to West Hants, and that was in relation to the increase that we saw in their tax rate in the last year. And so my question on this was, because I went back to the budget calculations of 23-24, is that we're still dealing with that now in 25-26. Is there an amount that's still allocated there that still needs to be caught up? Is that crossing over? Did that affect the 24-25 budget statements that we're looking to, financial statements that we're looking to approve now?
Certainly. So if you're referring back to the budgeting error and the misstatements for the year that I was away, that impacted the 23-24 tax year, all of those were dealt with and presented to council through the 23-24 year. Council would have gotten updates throughout the year with the RCMP cost outlined as the provincial amount that was missed during budgeting. That was not included. It amounted to 236, so it would have been on the financial updates as well. That amount was, again, part of our mitigation strategy is what we presented to council. And we were able to mitigate that and brought back council a report that showed a deficit of 143,000 that we then moved from reserves. So it was all dealt with within the 23-24 year. So nothing moved into the 24-25 year.
So nothing relating to the RCMP affected the current 25-26 year either. That was an incorrect statement to say that the RCMP underbilling in 23-24 affected the current tax rate.
Again, looking back at the budget, we were dealing with a lot of capacity related items. So when we deal with our budgets, we deal with them on an annual basis. So each year, pending whatever direction and whatever capacity we have, we make decisions. Council makes decisions. So that wasn't directly related to the increase in 25-26.
It was not, is what
No.
you're saying, correct? So, and the only reason, again, just for understanding here, is that when looking at this, I went back and I could find nothing on RCMP except a credit noted in the minutes that we were going to get because of probably an overbilling the previous year, staff being off or something that was coming in as an offset. So I didn't see anything there as it related to an amount that was undercharged in the tax calculation. So in any event, that's good for me.
Yeah.
Question.
And if you have any further questions, you can reference the financial report, March 31st, 2024, that was presented at the July 24th, 2024 meeting.
Thank you. And so I guess one last question since we're here and we're on it. Is there anything else that's left from that, the calculation issue of 23-24 that is still carrying through, or is that all?
Nothing carry forward through in the 24-25 or 25-26.
Great.
All of it was dealt with in the 23-24 year with the transfer of 143 from reserves to cover the deficit.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Councillor Scott McLean.
Thank you, Mayor, through the Director Vachon. In the previous audit that we're talking about, does it check for collusion? Any collusion?
Well, collusion would be part of like the independence as well as the fraud kind of lens that would come through. So it would be part of their testing. Now, do they look at every transaction? No. But they use materiality to then determine what transactions to look at and what to test. And then they also assess high risk areas. So within the audited presentation, usually our auditor would represent cash because cash is usually a high risk area where they would go back and they do more testing because it's easier to be more fraudulent in that kind of related item. Asset appropriation as well is another one, as well as AP. So those are the kind of the key areas. So again, they use their risk-based analysis to determine the level of testing that they do.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, West Hampton Regional Municipality is quite fortunate. We have a very good system that anything that goes from one staffer to another, there's multiple people. So it would have to be pretty sophisticated to have everybody on board. But the auditor usually notes it every year that our policies are pretty gold standard when it comes to.
Yeah, we have strong internal controls is how he kind of words it. If you ever have any other questions as part of the packages that we have that we present to our audit committee, we talk about our internal control processes and basically how the information flows through our system. That is available as part of the audit committee packages. So if you ever have any questions, we can definitely circulate that.
Just back on our CMP council as well, as you all know, we have a service contract that states we have to pay for whether it's 23 officers, et cetera, et cetera. But as we go through every budget cycle, we know that rarely does the RCMP have a full complement of officers, which again, we allocate for it at the beginning of the season, and what's not used, it's credited back at the end of the year. So it's hopefully at someday we do have a full complement because it's better service for our residents. But until that happens, it'll always be credited back. So any other questions, council, on the consolidated financial statements? If you're still unsure of something or you still need something clarified, please ask it now. There is no question that is silly. There is no topic that is not off limits. So I have multiple questions myself sometimes. I usually reach out and get them answered, but there's no dumb question. So if not, all right, we'll put it to a vote. If Clerk Snare, if you can put it up on the screen. Motion is passed. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, next on the agenda is Annapolis Valley Regional Library update regarding funding. CAO Phillips.
Thank you, Worship. Just forward up there. So this matter has been before council. I feel like it's about a month or so since we've had some discussion at the council table, and we've had some presentations by the Regional Library Service at a larger meeting, just to continue to kind of update the partners, the funding partners within the Annapolis Valley, and just kind of a quick reminder that Our contributions to the regional library service, for the most part, pays for the staff and the books and the programming. And as a municipality and other units, we're responsible for the bricks and mortar. So the building and the cost of operating the building and furniture and those pieces. So just to be clear, these are two different things. This is about programming, books, and staff. So they have continued to share with us some of the financial challenges they have in continuing to operate the service, essentially with static funding. And the report kind of details that, and you folks know the history behind that. 25-26, at least in their last report, they were anticipating that they would have a deficit, and they anticipate they would use some of their existing reserves essentially come year end. Again, they're getting close to year end like the rest of us, to kind of balance that budget come year end. But looking forward to 26-27, they had the same challenges, if not greater, where they would find themselves in a deficit position again if something didn't happen with respect to increased funding. And then, of course, they did forecast some remaining reserve to help supplement the 26-27 budget if needed. All of that culminated into essentially an approach from the library service where they would request from municipal partners that they contribute an additional 50% more than they would have contributed in past years. So Deanna there is showing that does represent the 50% more. Yes. So Deanna, if I could get you to go to the very bottom, we have a spreadsheet. So again, council has the benefit of seeing this budget. And this was a forecasted budget at the time we received it. I haven't received an update. I don't know if Councillor Remy has an update or not, but I'm sure like all budgets, it's kind of a moving target until they have confirmed funding and confirmed programming. But this is the budget we've been working off of, which is, of course, I think I could say similar to the service delivery that they have been delivering. They, of course, have kind of pared down services, including the bookmobile and hours of operation and staff at the board level and so forth over the years. This is a budget to reflect the continuation of services, I'll just say from 25-26. So Deanna, maybe right to the bottom to that other spreadsheet. There's a lot going on, so maybe we can zoom in on the blues. So this council had a conversation about that 50%, but what are other folks doing? So before I get into what I believe to be where other folks are, again, just the numbers. So the dark blue on the far left represents the current level of funding for which the municipalities contribute. And municipalities in the Annapolis Valley contribute 71% of the regional board's cost to operate. 26%. I'm looking at the wrong column. In Halifax, it's the opposite. In the Valley, municipalities contribute 26% of the total budget. The province contributes 71%, and the board, through their various means of revenue sources, contribute 3%. So that dark blue column represents the 702,000, or the 26% that municipalities contribute. So you can see West Hants there at the bottom. Our contribution is equal to about 19% of the total municipal portion, which for us is $134,400. The 50% request in the next blue translates into the various numbers noted there. So for us, for West Hants, that would be additional $67,200 for a total ask of $201,600. So that was the ask about a month or so ago. And then all the municipal units have gone off and kind of done their own deliberations. At one point, there was a circulation of a consideration for all partners to contribute an additional 25%, including the province, the board, and municipalities. So that's what that 25% column represents as an option. Again, that doesn't include the provincial or the board portion, just the municipal portion. So if everyone gave an additional 25%, that would be 878,000 versus the 1,054,000 they had asked, again, with funding coming from other areas. Then there was a discussion within the municipal world, primarily within the CAO environment, where some units were considering 26% of the 50%. give a little diversity to the financial consideration. So there is a model there that translates into $794,277. So you can get the theme here that, there's just a varied perspective on how municipalities were looking at this. Of course, most units were hoping that the province, as the board was hoping that the province would increase their contribution to libraries and specifically to the Valley. But to date, they have not, and I haven't seen anything hot off the press. Councillor Remy, who is our board member, is saying no. So we continue to see the province holding the line. His worship and I were on a provincial call where NSFM helped facilitate a conversation with the deputy minister. And I think the message was, if we've held the line, you're doing well. There's other departments that do not expect anything further. That's kind of the short version. So where is everyone else at? So I believe this is what is happening in other environments, some yet to be confirmed at the council level versus committee of the whole. And again, some of these may have changed slightly. I think where we're going to land is you folks need to decide where your commitment is and what's your allocation. My understanding of Annapolis Royal, that Annapolis Royal has committed to the 50% increase that was requested. That's Annapolis Royal's position. Annapolis County, Middleton, Kings County, Wolfville are all in the 26% of the 50% request. So you can see their corresponding increases there as you kind of look over to the far right. Some of those, not all, are currently in a position of, some of them are considering, we will give that allocation dependent upon the province giving an additional allocation. So there's kind of conditional things that are happening. I understand that's in Annapolis County, Middleton, Kings is leaning in that direction. Yeah, Berwick, the last remaining one, I believe was at the 26% and 50%, but is now back to 25% more than originally asked. So again, I know it's confusing, I'm sorry, but that's where some of the municipal units have landed. So what we know that they have said, without the proper funding, there has to be service reduction, because if their forecast was correct, they were working somewhere between the 300,000 and 400,000, I understand, to be left in their reserves to help supplement their planned budget for 26-27. So there's some financial challenges if the 50% doesn't come forward. Let's be honest. That's what they asked for. That's what they felt they needed to maintain service levels, and their reserves are depleting. So, Your Worship, that's where everyone else is. That's as much of an update that I can give. And I would put an asterisk by some of those because, again, the difference between committee of the whole and council and some of the updates, but that's some of the themes and some of the trends. Maybe before I conclude, I think Director Rochon, in our draft budget, we have included the 50% ask. Yes, so yet to be decided by council, but at least in our budget draft that you're about to see tomorrow, we have included the 201,600 as the greatest scenario, unless something changes.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, CIO. So discussion council, there may be an in-camera portion of this. So if a council wishes to speak to specific service reduction, I would suggest council makes a motion to go into camera when it comes, if that's what council wishes to discuss, but generalities, open council. Councilor Remy.
Through you, Mayor, it's just more for information purposes. We do have a board meeting coming up. So if any council has anything that they'd like me to take to the board or questions to ask them, then feel free to reach out. That was it.
Perfect. Councilor Scott McLean.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess to the CEO, curious how many libraries are in this region? Curious.
We have two within the West Hants region municipality.
Okay.
That'd be Hansport and Windsor.
Okay.
Throughout the Annapolis Valley, I don't know what, 7, 8.
I'm sorry, I'd have
Okay.
to.
No, that's
dig
fine.
back.
I get it.
We have two within West Hants.
Councilor Remy and I are trying to do the math, but yeah.
Councilor Paul Morton.
So just a question. I'm trying to be nice. This is very hard. So if people put in money, does that money that they put in go towards their libraries, or is it put in a pot so it's spread over everybody's library?
So this question, council, came up during the partners meeting. I think Councillor Remy, myself, CAO was there. I don't from our group, and the question was raised. And the library board, again, they make decisions based on the region, the Annapolis Valley, I should say. So not just for West Hants. It's based. The pool of money goes into the pool, and they distribute equally amongst all their libraries.
So your answer is it doesn't stay for ours; it goes everywhere.
Under the current model, it distributes evenly where they need to distribute it. Again, council can be very specific. If council was to approve 50% in additional funding, if council was to approve 100% of additional funding or 25%, council can put caveats to the funding as well. Where you wish to see it. Some municipal units have put caveats that they'll do the 26% of the 50 based on the province matching those funds. So councils are doing as they feel is in their best interest as well. So hopefully it answers the question. 11 branches throughout the Annapolis Valley. Yep.
So hypothetically, if we put money in, whatever they ask, and then choose, hopefully not, to close that library, doesn't mean our libraries are safe, even though we put money in, correct?
Discussion for a camera setting, if you wish to go
Let's
down
go in
that
camera.
way. I just got a couple more lights on first here. Councillor Yanish.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Seems to me that interlibrary loans are a very important part of the library service. And I'd be interested to know how important that is, how much, I think it would be a very expensive part of the service, but it would be interesting to know what proportion of costs is related to interlibrary loans. Because it's one thing to talk about our individual libraries, but there is a reason why there's a library system, and that not every library has their own set of books.
I see Councillor Remy writing it down, so something else she'll take to the board. Councillor Leary Pinch.
I'm just curious, do we happen to know, like outside of the buildings, what it costs operationally to run the two libraries in West Hants? Like how much of the percentage of that cost are we covering with our current amount, and how much would it be covered with no?
Good question. I
Okay.
don't have that available to me, but I'm looking at Councillor Remy, who will get that breakdown for you
Okay.
as well.
Thank you.
No further lights. If somebody wishes to go in camera to have a quick little discussion, we can take that
I move to
motion
go in
now.
camera.
Moved by Councillor Paul Morton. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Councillor John Smith. All those in favor signify by hands up. Oppose. Motion's passed unanimous. Thank you very much. So we will come out of in camera, folks. We will be back. I just can't give you a time, but we will be back.